This is my stock MK8 GTI, and in 2 weeks, I'm taking it to its first ever track day. Just over a year ago, I started doing autocross events in it. Here's what I've learned so far. The GTI does a great job of putting the power down, and the electronic limited slip differential helps you rocket out of corners. But it's got one big flaw: it's factory brakes. Although the MK8 GTI got the same size brakes front and rear as the previous gen 7.5 Golf R, they really weren't up to the task of any racing. Factory brakes really can't take much abuse. They don't really deal well with heat. Around lap 2 on my autocross events, the brake pedal feel had the consistency of what can be described as a wet pool noodle. Good brakes make a huge difference, especially when driving your car hard. This is exactly why I went with G-LOC brakes. Now, I've used G-LOC brakes on my 91 Toyota MR2 and my 09 Lancer Ralliart, and I've absolutely loved them so far. The initial bite is fantastic and the fade resistance is there. G-LOC's brake pads help your rotors run 20% cooler, and that makes a huge difference when you're going lap after lap. On top of that, they offer the most rotor-friendly track compounds in the world and are 100% made in the USA. I want to give a shout out to Danny over at G-LOC Brakes for sending me out pads for my MK8 GTI. And if you would like to get yourself a set of pristine racing brake pads, you can use my code Mason-I26 for 10% off G-LOC brakes. Now, G-LOC doesn't quite have an e-commerce store set up yet, so if you'd like to purchase yourself some pads, just give them a call and they'll take excellent care of you. They're made for racers, by racers, and you'll love getting to chat with them. Without further ado, let's get into the install. So what we're doing right now is we are measuring the rotor and we're gonna cut them down. The rear rotors come with 22 millimeters in girth. These measured out at 21 and some change. You can definitely see they've been abused. I wonder who would ever do that. Since factory discard is 20 millimeters, we are not gonna go with replacing them. Instead, we are going to machine them down because we have the tools at the shop to do so. And the same thing for the fronts. So we're just gonna machine them down and then we're gonna put the new G-LOC R8 brake pads on. So now we're gonna do a second pass on the brake rotors and mount and balance some tires in the meantime. If you look at the sidewall, I ran the PSIs too low at one point, and they kind of rounded it. So I'm really excited because these Potenza RZs are supposed to be a much grippier compound and pattern than the Falcon 615s. The Falcon 615s are more of an endurance kind of 200 treadwear tire, whereas the RE-71RZ is more of like a autocross tire. It's known for its grip. So the two center ribs right here are designed to help promote even tread, like a more kind of even tread wear over time. And the shoulder right here is designed for better cornering and stability. It's not that bad. And while I don't hate the Falcon 615s, I do wish I got a little bit more out of them. I have one Tail of the Dragon trip, maybe 9 or 10 autocross events on them, and they are worn pretty much completely dead. I would have maybe squeezed one more event out of them. Did take part of one of the tracks home with me, but we are almost done mounting. We got one more to go, and we're gonna go check on the brake rotors. Yeah, that's working. Now, the RE-71RZ tires are completely mounted and balanced, as seen right here, and I'm gonna be putting them in the back of my GTI. So I will not be driving down on these tires. I will be driving down on my factory all seasons. And they do fit because it's exactly what I did last year as well. While the rotors were on the brake lathe, we also painted over the hubs just so when we put the rotors back on, they're not as likely to stick. We're also gonna put some anti-seize on top of that. Potentially overkill, I think not. We did the rears as well, and we're gonna go check on how the rotors are doing. So we have the fronts completed already and still working on the rear rotors. Looks like we got 1.5 left. So the part I am most excited for is opening up these G-LOC R8 brake pads. This is what a factory OEM from Volkswagen Mark 8 brake pad looks like. So immediately right off the bat, you can tell that there's significantly more brake pad material on the G-LOC pads as opposed to the factory OEM. And these are straight from Volkswagen. And just visually, you can tell the difference in compound materials used, and I have really high hopes for these G-LOC R8s. Now this is the factory pad off of my GTI, 23,000 miles of driving, and it looks like it's worn pretty well. There's been quite a few autocross days, a Tail of the Dragon trip, and lots of hard spirited driving on these pads, so I am not disappointed. But once again, high hopes for these G-LOC R8 brake pads. The caliper bolts are technically one-time use, but our solution for that is blue Loctite.
Yep.
Blue Loctite.
You can reapply Loctite where it originally was.
And just like that, the front brakes are completed on the Mark 8 with the new G-LOC R8 brake pads and the turned front rotors.
Use your springy clips, keep the pads pushed out.
When you're doing the rear brake pads, make sure you reuse the hardware. Unfortunately, the pads from G-LOC do not come with hardware, which is fine. It's very easy to reuse the OEM ones. So do make sure to reuse the hardware for both the front and rear brakes so you avoid getting hot spots on your rotors. The other thing is with the G-LOC R8 compounds is due to the Kevlar and other materials in the actual pads, they will squeak and make noise up until they reach a certain temperature. So if you don't reuse the hardware, all you're gonna hear is the sound of the metallic scraping everywhere you go. However, once the brake pads have reached their optimal temperature, they quiet things down a significant amount. Now, this is a sacrifice I am making. I'm gonna have to deal with the brakes being loud during daily drivability. However, the stopping performance more than warrants, especially for the type of driving that I do. And just like that, the Mark 8 is back on the ground, four-wheel brakes and tires. Can't wait to see what they do, and this is exactly how I'm going to travel down. Just going to be fitting the rest of my luggage on the left-hand side here. And yeah, thank you everybody for watching. I appreciate those that have made it this far, and drive safe. Peace.